Greg, it's our first morning. You're finally here after a crazy trip to get here. We may have to talk, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's 5 a.m. Africa time, which was, we were real excited about that.
Real excited.
Yeah, so what's going on today?
Well, first breakfast of champions, that's number one there. So yeah, was this in 22 years, this was the longest it took me from when I literally left my home to getting to my first destination. It was over 72 hours, we figured out. So just kind of crazy getting here with the whole coronavirus and needing certain documentations that I wasn't able to get in Michigan, that I ended up getting in Illinois and delayed us, and just airline requirements, but we were thankful we got here. We literally, when we got on the airplane, the plane that we flew up here, and you can't fly at night. And so you have to have daylight, and they know, these pilots know exactly when the sun's setting.
And the reason why is because there's no lights in the runways, the plane doesn't have lights.
Yeah, exactly right. And there, right, all that. And so the pilot knows exactly how long it will take to get here and when they need to take off. She told us, Sarah, our pilot, that the drop dead was 3:30 p.m. And she looked at me and she goes, I'm pretty sure we left at 3:29. So after everything was said and done, we made it by 1 minute. And we were literally rushing from the international when I got here, rushing to the other airport, which is Wilson. It's the busiest airport in as far as numbers of takeoff and landings in all of Africa. So it's a lot of small planes coming out of there, but we're up here. And so today is going to be an exciting day. This is it's like my second home in a lot of ways. This is where World Mission started, our ministry for Africa among the Pokot People. And today we're actually among the Turkana. We're in the largest village or city really in all of Turkana, which is called Lodwar, right by, you've heard us talking about Lake Turkana, which is the largest permanent desert lake in the world, Rusty. So we are here finally, after you and I have been talking about it for really months. We're here, but we're going to a village that is actually near the border of Turkana and Pokot. So when I say that, I mean it's one people group and another people group. And there's a lot of historical tension between these two people groups, and World Mission's been doing a lot of ministry there. So that's where we're heading to today. It's about 2 to 3 hours on some rough roads. So if we're not awake yet, our bodies are going to be screaming at us in just a few moments.
And when you say there's tension, is it these are warring tribes? Yeah. It's pretty bad?
Yeah, that's kind of what they say. They say warring tribes. That's the phrase that they'll use. And these are pastoralists, these people groups, so which means they're dependent on their animals. So it used to be cows and goats, but because of the harsh drought, and actually right now you can hear the Muslim call to prayer. So we're just hearing that tells us it's 5 a.m. So you'll hear that throughout the day at different times. But anyway, pastoralist people groups are groups that are dependent on their animals. So as I said, goats and cows, but because of the harsh droughts that they've had over the years, the cows really haven't survived. Goats are a little more hardy, and sheep and camel. And so you might see herds with little kids that are 8 and 9 years old, because you're going, who's watching these? And in the little bush, you'll see these two little kids with sticks, and they're just out there. They sleep out there, they live out there, taking them to grazing land, and there might be 200 in a herd at a time. And so they'll steal them back and forth from one another, and that causes a lot of tension, because if that's my stuff, that's my bank account, that's all of my wealth on this earth, and you take it from me because you were mad at me or what my father did to me or my grandfather. It's retaliation, back and forth you go. And so we target areas that are right in between those two people groups and reach out with the gospel. Try and see churches established, because we know that the gospel can restore these tension relationships. And quite honestly, that it becomes a testimony into all the other people groups. I mean, if the Pokot and the Turkana can get along, anybody can get along. It's one of those things.
Makukunya matwele kiwe kupetsang kuwe matwele kiwe.
Hey, welcome to Turkana land. This is the beauty of northwest Kenya, occupied by over 1 million of the precious Turkana people. Lake Turkana, one of the Great Lakes. I'm from Michigan, so you have the Great Lakes of Michigan. Well, the Great Lakes of Africa. We're right in the middle of that hub right here. And behind me, you see a termite hill. So these guys are all over the place, and they'll get as high as 30 feet tall. And we see them all over the place. We've been going past all kinds of herds of goats. There's camels everywhere. This is Turkana land. This is where Rusty and I have come to share with you, to introduce you to the precious Turkana people of northwest Kenya.
What are they saying?
How to do
They
it.
are
Then you take a picture.
they are saying, missionary, where is the Bible? We need the Bible.
Come.
And then this can go chapter 1, chapter 2. Bless you. I will see you again. Okay. Thank you.
Something.
Hey, we are in Loya. Bet you've never heard of that before, and I've never been here before. This is my first time in Loya. Again, we are in the area of Turkana in the far southwest corner, where Turkana borders really their arch rival, if you will, the Pokot. And this is considered a no man's land. We just went through a police checkpoint. They don't allow vehicles through unless you have decent reason. We're going to an area called Alalay, which is in Pokot, but this area right here, historically, there have been a lot of different raids where Pokot would come and take Turkana cattle or goats or camel, and then vice versa, retaliation. So this is a real strategic area as far as we're concerned, because when you talk about the gospel, this idea of nations or people groups in conflict is the heart of the gospel, and the gospel is the only solution. So there's a lot of churches that are being planted here. We're excited to go through no man's land to get to the area of Pokot and Alalay and see what God's doing. Okay, we have received a royal welcome here.